as a fan, how can you not be excited? I mean, all this COVID shit aside and like what the right or wrong answer is, you can go into it all day, but the point is that it's happening. I'm excited, and I'm sure most of you are as well. So, I mean, without further ado, let's get into talking about this main card. And the first fight is going to be a heavyweight bout between Yorgan De Castro and Greg Hardy. And this is hard because I don't have a lot of like, I mean, heavyweights are always hard to predict as it is, but I don't have a lot. I haven't seen a lot on Yorgan De Castro other than his UFC fight and the Dana White Contender Series bout. Obviously, he has knockout power, one punch knockout power. A lot of heavyweights have that though. But I got to be honest, after seeing Greg Hardy, it's hard to get too in depth with this one because I don't know a lot about either guy. But it's also just so hard to predict how when guys are like Yorgan De Castro 6-0, right? And what's Greg Hardy like 5-3 or something with that no contest? It's so hard to predict what kind of progress they're going to make in a short period of time, right? Like you don't, and I just tend to think that Greg Hardy with his athletic background is gonna make massive leaps in between each fights, and he's kind of had an already like storied career, which I sort of like in a way. I feel like it's prepared him for maybe like opening up a main card moment like this. I mean, he was on that very first fight card that the UFC put on ESPN when it was on ESPN Plus, right? But Henry Cejudo fought TJ Dillashaw. He was on there and he got disqualified, I believe, for an illegal knee. And everybody was like, man, this guy shouldn't be fighting on like a main card in the UFC. He just doesn't have the experience. And I mean, good point, right? I'm not saying that he deserved to be there because what you want is the best representation of martial arts that you can get, right? But then he goes out, beats a couple of like relatively not anybody that anybody's too excited about, right? But he beats them. And then he runs into, man, who was it? I just got to pull up his record because I'm going to walk you guys through this in the wrong order if not. But I believe after that he got a couple wins. And then his no contest came into play. Yeah, he beat Dmitry Smolakayov and then won Adams. And then he fought Ben Sassoli, that's right, and he originally picked up a unanimous decision win, fought a good fight, and then he used that inhaler, right? So, I mean, in the short span of time that this guy's been on the roster since January of 2019, so just over a year and a half, he's had, like, all this fucking shit go down, right? Like, he's got an interesting career so far, and then he goes off and fights Alexander Volkov, who's one of the top heavyweights in the world and a former title holder. Jeez, tongue-tied. A former title holder over in Bellator. So, I mean, it's hard. It's just hard in this fight not to give the nod to Greg Hardy. Obviously, Yorgan De Castro has knockout power. He could finish him. But Greg Hardy, I think, is just so big. He's so physically imposing. And like I said, with his athletic background, like playing at an NFL level, he's extraordinarily athletic. I think that he's going to be able to make progress in rapid, like he's going to be able to make rapid progress in short amounts of time, and it's hard not to give him the nod in this fight. I think he's going to get the finish, but you know, he seems to be maturing in a weird sense, and that he probably could have done a little more to go a little more aggressively at Ben Sassoli and hunt for the finish, but you know, also he used an inhaler, says, I mean, obviously a little bit winded, right? The cardio came into play, but went 3 rounds with Alexander Volkov and didn't look terrible, man. Didn't look terrible. It's hard to think that he's not going into this fight with a lot of confidence and I mean, knowing that it just feels like a big momentous moment. And if Yorgan De Castro can pull it off, I mean, he's going to be it instantly does wonders for his name and his credibility, right? It just shoots him through the roof. So we'll see. I'm taking Greg Hardy though. I think it'll be an early finish. I think these guys are going to go at it. I think either way it ends, it's going to be an early finish. And like I said, it's not like Yorgan De Castro can't win, but I like Hardy.